A lot of people have questioned Death Stranding. They have questioned if it's a fun game. They've questioned if it's a game worthy of the praise that it's gotten. And they have questioned if it is a failure for its elusive director, Hideo Kojima. Now, people are starting to seriously question the game's ties to leaders in the games industry. Has Death Stranding gotten undue praise? Is it nominated for too many awards at the Game Awards 2019? Let's talk about why we think the answer to these questions is a resounding no. Welcome to Higher Level Gaming. I'm Rob, and today we're talking about the hottest game of 2019, Death Stranding. I call it the hottest game of the year because no other game has sprung up so much discussion. Not only discussion on gameplay, discussion on world design, discussion on casting in video games, and experimental gameplay, but also discussion on things like how we live in a modern world filled with social media, how we tackle modern politics and philosophy. Both critically and commercially, I would call this game a success. But now the discussion is on if it's fair how much Death Stranding is being recognized. Since a little while after the game's release, people have been questioning Famitsu's response to it. Famitsu gave the game a 40 out of 40 score, which is the highest they ever give, and they've only given it so many times. In fact, over 30 years, only 26 games have received top marks from Famitsu. Death Stranding is Kojima's fourth entry on that list. Hirokazu Hamamura was the chief editor of Famitsu, and he is actually in the game. He plays the role of one of the preppers. But not only is the editor-in-chief, or the former editor-in-chief of Famitsu in the game, Neki the Fox, the Famitsu mascot, is also in the game. Here you can see him plastered on a rock. People are saying that Famitsu should have been more transparent about their ties to the director. And then we have Kotaku's Heather Alexandria saying that Death Stranding's many nominations at the Game Awards can't help but raise questions. People are saying because Jeff Keighley is a personal friend of Hideo Kojima and has always had a soft spot for the man's games, and because Hideo Kojima was snubbed in his reception of an award for a game he directed some years back, Jeff has boosted Death Stranding standings at the ceremony according to people who are criticizing this. Heather herself called the game a fantastic mess, and while people have been critical and even IGN gave it a 6.8 out of 10, I think there's no denying the game of an extreme quality. I just don't see Keighley doing this just because Konami didn't allow Kojima to receive his award. Even though people were upset, rightfully so, Kojima should have been allowed to take that award. I don't think that means just because of that his game should be entered. But here's the thing. Keighley refers to the FAQ of the Game Awards, where you can read how are nominees selected for the Game Awards. Nominees for most categories are chosen by an international jury of over 80 global media and influencer outlets, selected for their history of critical evaluation of video games. The full list is also available, and if we go ahead and click on the full list of people responsible for voting, you can see you've got Argentinian companies, Australian, Chinese, Brazilian, Mexican, Middle Eastern. There's all kinds of companies that all weigh in on this, including companies like The Verge, Ars Technica, Vice, Polygon, IGN, and even GameRanks. Notably, there's no Kotaku though. Maybe I'm starting to understand why Heather Alexandria made this article. But seriously, it's not just up to Jeff Keighley who gets the nominations. It's up to all of these people who vote And then, based upon the top 5 choices in each category, ballots are tabulated, and the 5 games that appear on the most ballots are put forth as nominees. I mean, I don't really see them bending the rules or changing this process just because of Kojima. I think what it is there's been such a positive critical reception that all of these outlets chose to put Death Stranding in these categories. I think it makes sense that if a game includes the guy who runs the damn Game Awards, though, and he's in the game, and the game then goes on to win awards, it is highly suspect as to what those ties meant and how they weighed on the results. But that would be forgetting how enormous the waves this game has made are. Everyone wants to either call this game the game of the decade and a huge leap, or call it mediocre. It is as contentious as a game can be, and I think that indicates its importance. It's a lot to take in, being such a new experience and such a high quality production. Having so many famous people in the game can also be jarring. Some think it lays it on thick. I think it goes as far as it can in the pursuit of art, flaws and all, and not everyone likes every piece of art. This is exactly why the game deserves these considerations. Death Stranding was nominated for Game of the Year. Because of its critical reception and many 10 out of 10 scores, this makes sense. It was also nominated for Best Game Direction, and you can't deny that Kojima's handprint is all over this game, sometimes in awkward places. Best Narrative. Again, Death Stranding's narrative is far and above what most games present. Best Art Direction. I mean, I don't even have to really mention this one. The game has been tripping people out with its art since long before it ever released. Best Score. One of the major things that impacts you too when playing this game is how well thought out the music choices are. They go so amazingly with the game, and every moment is scored perfectly, if you ask me. Best Audio Design is less of a big deal, but again, Death Stranding has that. Every different texture you walk over, there's different noises, the gear on your back, the noises that are made by enemies. Best Performance, Mads Mikkelsen. How can you even argue that Mads Mikkelsen didn't give one of the best performances in gaming? You must not have played the game if you think that. And Norman Reedus, the same thing. It's a damn step above Matthew Peretta, let me just tell you that much. Putting it in Best Action Adventure Game is the only questionable choice. It's not really an action game. There are action sequences, but even still, that's because it doesn't fit well in any of the other genre categories. What do you think though? Do you think Death Stranding deserves all of these nominations, or do you think maybe the influencers at the Game Awards, one of which being Kojima himself, had something to do with it? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe to Higher Level Gaming to always hear gaming news updates like this. You can also like this video, but above all else, don't forget to go play some video games, and have a nice day.
This eye is not merely seeing reality, it is touching the truth.